You are now listening to Out of the Blank.
Welcome to Out of the Blank podcast. I'm here with Gary Daniels. So,
That
Gary,
is right.
tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am 26 years old, living in central United States, Missouri, St. Louis. Love it. Go Blues, baby. And I am a real estate investment analyst currently for a commercial real estate development company.
What the hell is a real estate investment analyst?
Well, it's a good question. We do a little bit of everything. So basically, one of my main job tasks is I work for a company that builds assisted living facilities. And so one of my main job tasks is to go out and find locations where we would build an assisted living facility, gather rental rates, um, and pretty much put together investment performance and then try to get people to invest in them and say, hey, this is a good place. And so we own and operate as well. So we're not just out to make a quick buck. So we actually provide some of the best care that you can get for loved ones in the nation. But my job is effectively finding the location, figuring out what the market rates are and putting together the investment package.
How did you decide to get dived into the realm of real estate, insurance and policies?
Well, it was really just a look of the draw, actually. Out of college, I decided that I was going to try to sell insurance, and that lasted for all of 2 months, and I did not like it whatsoever. And so I actually just took a job with a company that is an accountant at first, and I'm not an accountant type. It's really boring to me. But I started learning Excel really well, and once that grabbed hold, I just started playing around with Excel. And then I started updating our investment models for the company, and they said, "Hey, you should come work on this side with us." And so that's where I am right now. It's just a young kid out of college that had no idea what he wanted to do, and just started work,
Have
started
you
doing it.
have you figured out what you wanted to do? Is this? I don't see you sticking in this very long. You seem like your mind's a little bit somewhere else.
So obviously it's a question I ask myself all the time. I think the longer that I've been in it, the more that I fall in love with it. So it's really boring to the outside, but once you get into, the nicheness of it and just like the interesting statistics, I'm a big numbers guy. It's really passionate, but I don't think I want to do exactly this. I want to stay in commercial development, probably not senior living, but I'd love to start my own kind of business, maybe developing. I had a few ideas. I live in kind of like the Portland area of St. Louis. And so like I wanted to make like a small, like a local craft vendor place, like an establishment, like with a coffee shop anchor. I thought that'd be a really neat, reclaimed industrial area. That's the dream. But so far I haven't made a whole lot of progress on that. Still young.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's crazy though because you're only a couple of years older than me, and you're doing real estate things. Like in my job, I work in a hotel, so it's like I'm doing like just the average pickup job. Like even though I'm going to school and doing things of this sort. I'm trying to find where I truly feel like I have a place, or I feel like I at least benefiting. The problem is getting comfortable, man. That's a big thing. You end up getting in a job that you're just comfortable with because it's a paycheck, it gets you the money that you need to survive. And I think it's wrong to live that way a little bit. I don't like it that much. I've definitely tried to make changes, but I find like with podcasting and talking to people and just getting people's experience on the world. I mean, you're from Missouri. I'm from Ocean City, Maryland. Those are two completely different places. I am from a beach town.
Right.
You're not from a beach town. So it's like we don't take the time, anybody really doesn't anymore, just to be able to connect and understand like what their true passions or hobbies are. I mean, you're good with numbers. I suck with numbers. Okay. I'm lucky if I get to be able to count how much money I have in my wallet, mostly if there's anything in there. But it's the whole concept of we're very, very different, but so much so, and it's a beautiful, unique way.
Yeah, I agree. Hitting back on learning from other people. I go on a lot of dates now, and that's like the only time that there's actually like authentic human action as opposed to just, passing someone or saying hi or dealing with your same friends that you deal with. It's like very hard to actually just meet strangers these days. And so that's why when I saw the concept of your podcast, I hopped on it. But I think that's only getting worse. As technology rises and stuff, younger generations not really developing their personalities.
Dude, they're getting assigned tablets in schools now instead of a book. The best part about a history book, in my opinion, is the fact that there was some guy in there that wrote, like, turn to page 32, and then you turn to page 32, turn to page 64, and then you start turning all these pages. After like 10 or 12 pages, there's a freaking picture of a dick or something drawn into it. I'm like, yes, yes,
That's
that's
the old stuff.
yeah, you can't do that in a tablet anymore
Exactly.
unless you pull up notes or something.
Yeah, the good old days. There's a lot of things that have just changed like that too. Are you familiar with like Musically or whatever it's called nowadays? Basically, it's where the kids lip sync.
I have not heard of it. The lip sync?
Yeah, so it's like they play a song and the kids like do a lip sync to it behind it.
Oh, like a
Basically,
TikTok type thing?
sort of. Yeah, exactly. I think they might have become TikTok or something.
I don't
I'm
even know
not
what
sure the whole
TikTok
history
is,
of it.
dude.
Yeah,
I clocked out at Fortnite. I was like, no, thank you. I'm not diving into that realm. Sorry.
exactly. And so I never got into it. But apparently, there are a lot of people that build up large enough followings on it that they could convert it into like a thing. But so basically, the way that Musically was that there would be like 13 to 17-year-old peep kids putting these lip sync videos out, and obviously watched by other 17 to 13-year-old kids and creepy pedophiles all around. Uh, but there's one girl in particular that is like the epitome of what I view as the problem. And I don't blame her at all because she grew up with it. But, her name is Daniel Cohn. And she started off on Musically, I believe, the app. And her whole social media presence, because you on Snapchat?
Yeah.
So you know how they have like those, featured stories of different celebrities and whatnot.
That's where I get like all my information about what Trump is doing and also really cool videos about things I could be doing with food that I'm too lazy to do.
And people like doing those satisfying videos.
Yeah.
That's what-
I swear to God, that the worst thing to have on Snapchat at 2 o'clock in the morning when you're not getting sleep and you just see a really heartfelt like story that makes you kind of waddle up into tears. You're like, well, thank you. I needed that.
I usually think, "Oh, fuck, I don't need this." I'm sorry, can we swear on here? Is that a
Yes,
thing?
you can swear. I don't
Okay, awesome. Awesome. I usually think, "Oh, fuck, I have to get up for work in 3 hours. I can't believe that I'm still looking at my phone," but I keep doing it for no you know what I mean? It's like an
Dude,
addiction.
that's what scares me. See, I started implementing this thing, and I've been telling people about it, and usually the people I talk to are like maybe 10 years older than me. So they
Sure.
go on the concept of like, wow, you're really ahead of your generation. I was like, no, I see a problem. This thing that sits by me constantly 24/7 is a problem. I think it's really weird, the weird things they start adding to it that make it so easier to use it. Like the fact that there's now a socket pop, just like I'm using, where I'm able to hold it like this. I cannot imagine what my life was like before this. And I was around when that was happening. I remember used to walk to the bus stop with a CD player, one CD inside of my jacket pocket, and it would be Panic at the Disco, Linkin Park, all these types of things. And there wasn't no free basis to get all the information or music you wanted to listen to whenever you wanted the grips of your fingertips. I think it's amazing, but at the same time, it scares me because I think people are going to end up being a little bit too comfortable, and it's going to turn into what Wall-E, that movie where everyone's sitting around overweight. They don't use their bones anymore, don't even move. They have the beds that do it for them. I see that us heading in that direction where the factor is we're not going to be creative anymore. We're not going to be influencers when it comes to people like throughout ancient history or throughout history, like Leonardo da Vinci, these masterminds. Those people are going to be gone. Writing is going to be gone. It's going to turn into typing. Everything's changing form. And I get a little bit nervous when I start thinking about it.
Well, I think the big part is we gave everyone a voice, right? And before the people that were recorded in history were the truly exceptional people, like you mentioned, Leonardo da Vinci, Charles Darwin, right? They had these major breakthroughs, and I think now we're just crowded with noise, and like everyone is stating their opinion on everything, I mean, I don't know if you've noticed, but pretty much since 2015, it's been everyone's addicted to being outraged all the time about everything.
Yeah, did you
And
see Dave Chappelle's new comedy skit on Netflix?
I heard about it. I also heard about the story a little bit.
You definitely need to watch it.
Yeah.
It's something that if I was a white guy, or if that was a white guy that did it, it would be on Netflix. He said he made fun of every single community, made fun of the LGBTs. He just dissected them all. He dissected every single thing that you would consider that you wouldn't want to talk about, or anybody would be immediately disbanded on. And he made fun of it in the best way. He called it sticks and stones. And let me tell you something, this is something our generation needed. It's something
100%.
the world needed. I really find it weird because I've podcasted with stand-up comics and I've heard from stand-up comics points of view of how hard it is to make somebody laugh because you're afraid to tell a joke.
Mhm.
And there's some of them that are like, I've been doing it 8 years. I'm just going to fucking tell the joke. That's what you just need to do. Sometimes you got to say something funny. You got to say something that a lot of people are going to be like, did he just say that? It's like, you bought tickets to a comedy show. What'd you expect? Like, you don't come here looking for these types of things. Like one of my favorite comedians, Netflix specials, Bill Burr, and then also
Oh, hell yeah.
Tom Segura, Disgraceful. He had that whole thing. Is people Netflix gave him the people the trailers of his comedy special, and they took all the things out of what the bit actually was, and they made it sound like he was making fun of retards.
Yep.
He was like, I don't think the R word should be banned. He goes, because some people are retarded, and then like he did that, and like Netflix put that up and it showed him in a bad light and he got a bunch of flack for it. A bunch of people were just sending messages to him saying that he was going to burn in hell because they didn't understand the true side of it. Like for me, this podcast, I'm not anyway trying to voice anything. I'm just trying to let the people express themselves about who they are. Do I think it's ever going to get super popular? Nah, most likely not. Am I 100% bank on this is going to be my money? This is going to be everything? No, I just enjoy doing it because you meet some pretty huh, interesting people and also some pretty awesome people. I think we all are really fucking awesome, but the fact is we choose to suck because it's much easier to suck than truly be passionate about something and go out and get what you want.
It's a lot easier to just fit in, right, as opposed to stick out, right? Um, and I think that's the message that we've been sending. So that actually is a good segue back into the Danny Cohn on Snapchat. So I see her story sometimes, and she is just an amalgamation, right? She's like 15 years old. She dresses like a Kardashian, and she is an amalgamation of everything that she's ever seen or heard growing up. And she's lived in this lifestyle where she sees what's popular and then she repeats that, and then it actually helps her then because she gets more followers and things. And I'm not so concerned about her as I am concerned about my niece and my nephews and people that grow up watching that and thinking that is what's cool, that's what's mainstream, and repeating that kind of stuff. I asked my nephew what he wanted to be when he grew up, and he said a YouTuber. That's what he wants to be when he grows up.
I didn't get that job out of a hat when I had to pick one out in school.
Exactly. It was doctor, firefighter, lawyer, right?
Astronaut, president.
Astronaut. Exactly.
Well, it was weird because my cousin, he got caught in the rain the other day on his bike on his ride home from school. And you know what he told me? He said,
Mm.
yeah, I got caught in the rain. I had to Uber home. A bit of me died. Now I'm not an old man, but I used to ride in the rain. I used to I love the feeling of chasing a thunderstorm. Like it's right behind you. You got to get home as fast as possible.
Mhm.
Oh, that was the best feeling in the world. You felt like you were Superman when you made it inside the house. There were things that I really, really enjoyed. And I feel like a lot of days now, we're not pushing kids to be afraid of strangers. We're not pushing kids to do all these things because you see all these YouTube videos of that homeless man you made fun of. Turns out he drives a Ferrari and all these types of things. Then
Yeah.
they start thinking that every guy in a white van offering them candy is an Uber driver looking for a 5-star rating. Not true. That's where I see like we're being completely unaware. There's a comedian, Bert Kreischer, talked about his buddy that actually picked up a bunch of girls just by offering pot to them. Like, hey, you want to go smoke some pot? And they're like, sure. And then like they got in the car and they drove, and she's like, where are we going? Where are we going? And he's like, oh, we're just gonna go get it. He goes, you don't have it? No, I have to go over town and get it. You got the money for it, so you can throw in on this? And it started getting really, really sketchy and kind of rapey. And then she goes, get me out of the car. I want to leave now. And he turns around and goes, You're not going anywhere. And she goes, but I'm going to scream. And he goes, go ahead. Nobody can hear you. And they just start freaking out. And like the dude, Bert, is a comedian. He's popular. He's on Travel Channel at the time, was telling people, hey, I'm on this network. We're not going to do anything. He's just messing around. But it shows you how where I was raised was don't talk to strangers. Don't talk and don't do any of these types of things. Nowadays, my cousin doesn't know that. My little cousin, 8 years old, is going on his cell phone, paying more attention to that. Someone offers him a ride. He's like, yeah, free ride home. Get home and play Fortnite. You're missing the aspect. And then parents can't keep up with that type of stuff because they got a bunch of shit they have to worry about too. The fact that they have to try and hold down a house and then sustain a family. They got to worry about some kids sending out a nude photo on their phone and it being sent around to the whole entire school. Then their kid ended up committing suicide. It's where technology has compressed us. It has put us into a point where we feel like we're getting full too fast, too much.
I think what's happening is like, it's almost like an addiction where we're in for the instant gratification, right? So if you heard of Gary Vee, he's a guy that does like marketing stuff, right?
Yeah.
When he talks to somebody that's like a content producer or generator, he goes quality or quantity. And the person usually answers quality, but he's like, no, quantity. You want to keep reminding people, right? How often you're out there. Like, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here. It's why everyone posts to all these influencers post to their My Story every day and thing, because we're constantly seeking constant stimulation, right? There is no form of boredom anymore. We're constantly seeking, what's going to give us that dopamine rush, right? Every time our phone goes off, it's like Pavlovian. You hear somebody else's phone go off and you check your phone because you've been trained to do that because you get it's like a little reward
It's
every time you do it.
what's really weird is the fact when it comes to likes, shares, and all these types of things that's what people look at. Like that like is like acceptance. Like if your post or picture gets only 6 likes, even though you really liked the photo and you thought it was pretty cool, there are people out there known as, like you were saying, influencers. I know a couple people like that. And let me tell you, it's pretty sick how I would hang out with them and they were all about social media. They're like, oh, we got to put that up on our Facebook ban to get those likes so people know we're out here. I'm like, but we're just playing basketball. Like, what do you mean? We're at the rec center. Like, we don't need to go on Facebook post that. And he goes, yeah, but
Man.
how are people going to show up? I'm like, how are people going to show up? What? Well, it's just us playing a game. We're not inviting a group of people to come play basketball. And he goes, yeah, but don't you want people to know we're doing it? And I'm like, doing what? Doing what people do actively and without posting it on Facebook. But now, same thing. Joey Diaz talks about with the beer. Anytime you see somebody take a picture nowadays, what are they holding in their hand? Beer. They have that picture. They have that beer showing. The whole factor is they want people to think they party out. They want people to think their life's a little bit exciting. They want people to think that. They want people to think this about them. They want to set unrealistic expectations of what their life really is because their life truly is bland. It's Jim that works the 9 to 5 every single day. Now, I'm like one of those people. I work 9 to 5, whatever you want to say. But I do other shit. And I do other shit without really promoting it. I don't tell people, hey, share the podcast if it goes out there. I just tell people, like, if you had a good time on it, that's all that matters. It's about getting to know one another. We walk around the earth now, not talking to one another anymore. We used to be connected. We used to be pack animals. We used to survive with each other. Now we're surviving alone. Netflix is now our thing. We don't have to go to the store to get groceries when I can get someone to bring food over to my house. Uber Eats. I'm like, the hell? Like, seriously.
Never have to leave ever again.
Yeah, but if you never want to leave, you never go pursue anything. You never meet
Yeah.
conflict. You never have experiences. You never have memories.
I agree. Silver platter. We're giving it to everyone.
Exactly. I think in the future, the sad fact is our memories, all those things that give us nostalgia. Like my nostalgia comes on when I hear something about Johnny Bravo or these types of cartoons I used to watch, all the good stuff back when I was a kid. And, I have memories camping whenever I go out into nature and I smell campfire or smell someone cooking up something on a fire. I immediately think back to that. Moments with my family. Now, I swear to you, it's just going to be memories of phones for kids. They're just going to remember, oh, I remember Instagram. Oh, I remember that app. Oh, I remember this. It's like, oh my God, you're going to get nostalgia from apps on your phone. Scares me.
I mean, I just think we've we've outlawed boredom, right? It's illegal to be bored now. We got a screen in everybody's hand. right? If you're bored, play a game, right? If you're, a video game. If you're bored, scroll through social media. It used to be like, if you're bored, go out for a walk or do something creative. Man, I grew up, so my sister's 10 years older than me, my brother's 7 years older than me. From the 5th grade on, I was effectively an only child. And it was just like, you learn to create your own fun. I grew up in the woods of Wisconsin, originally. I'm now in Missouri. But it was just so much fun. My friends and I, we'd go around, shoot each other with paintball guns. There's nothing, I don't know if I should say this, it's kind of a joke, but there's no thrill like shooting your friends in a non-lethal way.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I
It's
used to
fun.
aim for the nuts or the eyes. You used to
That's right. Hit him in the face,
used to
man.
grab Roman candles on the 4th of July and point them at each other and shoot each other. Like those are stuff like you say now when people are like, "Oh, you're dangerous. You're a criminal to society." And like I talked to a couple of people that do gaming podcasts, and I was telling them like, the fact that video games don't cause violence. You're not going to immediately play Grand Theft Auto and decide to do that in real life. The problem is if you're going to a store to shoot up a store, you're probably had that intent anyway inside of you because you've dealt with too much bullshit. And I think when I say bullshit, I mean the fact that people aren't unloading their problems correctly anymore. We're dealing with so much stress, little minor fractures in our life throughout the day that it all piles up, much like Atlas holding up the world on his shoulders. That world becomes so immediate with your problems nowadays because what happens? You get a problem right in front of your face and you get immediately overwhelmed. You don't know how to handle it. You don't know how to cope with it. You don't think it's ever going to pass. Then it becomes a problem because I've experienced like car accident, one tire going out one day, and then 3 days later, after getting that tire fixed, another car incident where my other tire got a flat, and the next thing I know, I had to get 2 tires replaced in a matter of a week. Lost $1,000. I could have easily started punching everybody in the face like Mike Tyson, biting off some ears, but I didn't because I caught myself in the moment when I was upset and I realized I'm upset at this moment, but this is going to pass. It's going to get better. I'm going to fix it. And I can do that. People don't think like that anymore. People just want to conversate. And when they do conversate, they just want to sit there and bitch about their problems. My day was hard. I worked 6 jobs. It's like, shut the fuck up. Let's talk about the weather. If anything, I'll bring up that stupid weather chat.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think we're disassociated from one another in our form of interacting. Like even the most popular memes are like either they're like my life's a joke, LOL, like oh we can all relate to this life problem. Um
Most memes are things talking about like, oh, my life sucks. Hey, here's depression. It's always there for you. I'm like, it's funny, but it's like that's funny because everyone can relate to that.
exactly. But it's also just like I don't know if you ever done like you ever go through like a pretty traumatic event or something like that or you lose something or someone we realize then how like life is good like in a lot of ways or like if you almost die or something like that you're so much more grateful for life and then all of a sudden your commute to work isn't just like oh fuck I got to go to work again. It's more like oh I never noticed that before, look at the sun, it's coming up and
That
it's
only lasts like 2 weeks, though. I
that's
mean,
right, and then you're back into it.
yeah, I've had a near death experience and a couple of times, and
Oh,
I've only been humbled. I think the main thing that humbles me now is I work in a hotel with all Latino housekeeping. So I know what it's like to be a minority. I know what it's like to feel out of place in a world where white is considered the norm. I know what white privilege is when people make fun of that. I think like I've been humbled by it because I understand people are just people. There's no difference. They treat me like one of the same, even though that took a long time for us to get there. And there's still times I get cussed out in Spanish. I'm not going to lie about it.
hmm,
Um, but the whole fact,
pendejo.
yeah, well, just the whole fact that you can't say Robbie in Spanish, so it's constantly just edit it in a bunch of Spanish, and then it's Robbie, and then it's a bunch of Spanish. I'm like, that wasn't good what she just said. That was pretty freaking bad. But like, I think it's a way people are we're not really meant to be around each other 24/7. It's a sad fact. There's a reason why you get into arguments even with your own family, and you just chalk it up to the example like, well, they're your family, they have to love you. Yeah. it's not really, relationships aren't really meant to be a thing either, just with the fact that we're not supposed to be around somebody 24/7. You're not going to connect with everyone on the earth, and you can't be around them 24/7, because the only true person that can stand you is you. But we still need to connect. You can't be socially introvert like I was for a long period of time and then finally feel okay. You get depressed, you get slumped down because you feel like your life is nothing. And that doesn't mean you need to go out and party every night and explore this awesome lifestyle. It just shows that you have a social skill inside of your body that needs to be filled, whether it's a high, hello. If you don't experience that anymore, you become what I call a wet towel, where when someone talks to you, you're like, yeah, but then I had this happen, and then I had this happen. Then you're literally like, whoa,
It's
you were
Eeyore,
the
man.
yeah, you were the quicksand. You were the quicksand they warned me about in cartoons in school to stay away from.
Yeah, I agree. Especially because we're so into social media and technology and following other people, where that's a highlight reel. We think their lives are great all the time. Then our problems seem, like I get pissed off when I'm coming home from work and I have to sit in traffic because I just want to be home.
Yeah.
But then there are other days where I get stuck in traffic and I just turn the music up a little higher and I realize that everything's fine and I just need to calm down a little bit and I'll get there when I get there.
I think the problem is people invest their time into something that they shouldn't be investing their time in. Like, you put your whole life into your phone, at least you set it up in that way, when the fact that all your business things, all these types of things that get you money, that help you kind of live, all your orders, whatever you have to talk about, when kind of helps you survive or create the life you have, it's all invested into your phone. If your phone goes down, you're done. Joe Rogan has that bit, like, if I took all of technology away from you and dropped you in the middle of the forest with a hatchet, how long until you send me an email? It's
Hmm.
true.
Yeah.
When the lights go off, we sit there and we wait because we think someone else is going to fix it and turn it right back on. What happens if that light doesn't come back on? Then what do we do?
Well, I'll grab my bug out bag, my AR-15, and head up north to Wisconsin and let you fuckers kill each other.
There you go. You got to camp out.
There it is. My bug out bag. No, I'm not a prepper. I
I
just enjoy the occasional firearm.
That's understandable though. Like, people that prep and do these types of things, only on the fact that I do feel like there is a doomsday coming, but I think it's going to be man-made. I don't think it's going to be some apocalypse, Christ walking the earth type situation or zombie apocalypse. I think it's going to be more on the factor that, like, right now they just did a successful human head transplant. I don't know if you heard about that. It started off in China, much like the stem cells that are now incorporated a lot here. But back a couple of years ago, stem cells was not allowed here. We weren't experimenting with that at all. No one really even knew what that was. Then there's a giant rise in it, and now we have it here. And now a lot of people are getting stem cell shots because it helps them feel better. Well, they've been practicing in China, experimenting, transplanting heads with monkeys and dogs, and they also
Wait,
found them,
like they
like
were
the
they
brain, the brain.
the way that I'm picturing that in my head is that they're putting monkey heads on dogs' bodies.
Oh
But
no,
I understand what you're saying now.
no, but
I was like, I got to see some photos of this.
there's a record of, they took a monkey's spine out of its body and then also fixed its vertebrae and then helped it walk again. And then they started doing it recently on human trials. It's now just starting to kick off here in America. So that's awesome that you can help somebody be able to walk again, or at least fix something in their body that was not working before. But I know human intent. I know where people are going to take that, and it's going to start diving into how far and how much can we take out of you that until it's still you.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I guess one of the debates that I would know better is like AR-15 parts, where it's like, what part of the gun, because you can swap out pretty much every part of that gun. It's like, what part of that gun is the gun, right? I mean, they have the stamped lower is technically what it is, but I agree with you where it's like, and at what cost too? The prolongation of life. We're already going to be super overpopulated in this world.
Well,
So
people have the idea of immortality. That's been a fascination throughout history, whether you want to talk about the Fountain of Youth or Dracula, any types of myths of that sort. And I always tell people, like, you want to live forever? Yeah, dude, I'd love to live forever. I'm like, is that because you feel like you're not going to hit what you want to hit in the next 100 or 200 years. You feel like it's going to be 500 until you finally hit your speed. I don't want to be immortal. I honestly don't want to live forever. Honestly, if I live to the age of 60, that's okay. I want to do as much as I possibly can in the time I have. I don't want to set unrealistic goals or expectations saying that if I was immortal, I could live this. Because once you start bringing that into the realm of possibility, you're already acting lazy. You're already acting like nothing you ever is going to accomplish is going to be until 1,000 years from now.
That's right. Time's their greatest resource, so use it. I think it was the Stoics, one of the Stoic philosophers that said, "Live every day like you're going to die tomorrow."
It's true because back in the day when those people they're literally innovators. They're people that had they were stepping towards what they wanted to do. You know, if they had something that they wanted to do, they did it. They didn't ask anybody. They didn't ask for permission. They just did it. Now, with a lot of what technology and any type of thing that you're seeing in society now, people are becoming lazy and they want to piggyback ride on a lot of people's shit. You know, you start getting something going, let's say a good podcast, you start getting something going, they want to hop onto it. How can I get a piece? It's like, why don't you put in the time and the effort to do it yourself? And the factor is they don't want to. They don't have the drive to do any types of hard work. You know, for me, I'll podcast with people from Australia. Okay. I'll be up at 1 a.m. here. It is like 2 p.m. there. Okay. And that's the only time some of them can do that. I work with their hours. I don't care about losing sleep to be able to get information out there because it's all experience. It's helped me turn into a better person. You know, all my friends are out drinking at a bar. I'm home. I'm able to relax. I'm able to talk to people. I'm able to better understand and get a little bit more knowledge out of the world. I never hooked on to drinking. I'm not a big drinker, even though I don't mind it. It's just not something that was for me.
I'll do enough drinking for the two of us. You can bank on that, buddy.
That works, dude. It's a sense of relaxation. I mean, like I chalk it up. Alcohol isn't bad. It's over consuming. It's the person that drinks it. There are people like marijuana isn't bad. Drugs aren't bad. Nothing's bad. It's the person that takes it too far, or it's the person that takes it to a consent. Now, I can't make justifications on things I have not tried. I can make justifications on beer. I can make justifications on any alcohol. I can make justifications on any type of pot, any type of drug. I can't make a justification on PCP just from the stuff I've seen. Maybe there's a guy out there who does it to perform awesome yogi chants. I have no clue.
I'm just going to go ahead and interject that you probably shouldn't do meth ever. It's just not good for you.
Yeah, it's probably not the healthiest option, but
just saying. Like I don't know, that one's pretty bad. It's made like battery acid. You shouldn't consume that. But sorry, I didn't mean to take you off.
Well, I mean, if you wanted to get dentures faster, that's probably a good way to do it.
Or if you wanted to lose weight. I've never seen a fat meth head. So keep that in mind.
I've never seen a fat crackhead either.
We should start a diet plan right now. The meth diet.
Just start eating crack as fast as you possibly can. That's how you'll lose weight. Yeah, that'll burn them calories. You just won't be hungry anymore.
You want to lose 100 pounds? We'll start smoking meth.
The sad thing is, I think people would like that more than the keto or primal stuff that's going on in the world right now.
Keto's great, man. I do keto. So I do keto with intermittent fasting, which effectively means that I eat a salad at lunch and I don't eat anything before that.
Intermittent fasting is a bitch.
Yeah, by noon I'm ready to tear someone's head off. But
I'm a gym nut, and I talk about eating times and these types of things, and people are like, "What?" I'm like, "If you're in my way when I come home from a gym workout, you're getting thrown somewhere because I need to be in the kitchen, make what I need to make, and eat like as soon as it's done." It's not anything like that. It's a can of tuna, some salad. I'm chopping up vegetables, chopping up fruit, throwing it in there. And then once I sit down and start eating, you can start talking to me, but stay out of my way. And a lot of people don't understand that unless they come from I've been working out extensively for 7 years now, like every single day. I don't miss a day. Got a little bit of a workout disorder when it comes to that on the concept. Like I pulled some bullying out of school, which I've kind of figured out in my life. But, you know, I talk to bodybuilders. I'm like, how do you manage to kind of keep with the whole routine every single day and keep it going? You got to learn at one point in your life, you can't keep this up forever. Someone said it to me. They're like, you work out every day for 7 years, 2.5 hours to 3 hours a day. That's not glory to me. That's because I don't feel right if I leave earlier than that. And they go, you think you're going to be able to do that the rest of your life? I'm like, I've done it this far already. Like, it doesn't matter. it doesn't, it's not going to happen. You're going to find something better. It's just going to take time for you to reach across that. I mean, I'm the guy at 2:00 in the morning rolling to the gym in a state emergency when snow's crazy out. No trucks are driving on it, but I'm in a little green Kia driving to the gym 2:00 in the morning. Like, man, and they look at me like, this kid's batshit nuts. And I had that will, that drive to go. And people ask me all the time, how do you get a six pack? Can you teach me how? I'm like, I can teach you and tell you how. I told my one buddy, helped him out. He lost 60 pounds. But I also took into the realization that he's Italian. Cut out the fucking pasta. Next thing I know, bam, he's dropping weight. He's working out. He's feeling better. And I see him take pictures of himself now. I'm happy for that. But
Yeah.
I tell people it's about having drive. It's about having persistence. It doesn't have to be with the gym. It doesn't have to be with anything of that sort. Something you're interested in. My one buddy creates IKEA furniture. That's what he does. He enjoys it. He sets
Create
builds it, like doesn't
it just like
yeah, he builds it in
oh,
his house. Well, the weird thing is how he does
nice.
it. Like for me, I don't read directions. That shit can go right in the trash. Him grabs the directions, reads it all extensively, then kind of stops for a minute, grabs his toolbox, gathers up all his tools, sets them out in line. Then he grabs all the pieces and he grabs a notepad, starts marking down everything he has, every step, every process that he read, and then he rereads it and tries to do it again. This is all before he
Right.
starts building the furniture.
Yeah, that's overkill, I think.
Yeah, well, he built a shelf and he pissed me off because he was like, "You see that beautiful shelf? So awesome, isn't it? Yeah, you like setting your stuff on that shelf. It's a good shelf. I built that correctly. I just knocked it right off the wall. It was just the concept. Like I try and create shit from that thing, and I always end up with extra screws and extra things. And but I understand it though. He gets a sense of relaxation from it, and that's awesome. I think people need to start focusing on what makes them happy. If it doesn't
Oh,
hurt anybody
absolutely.
else, then they need to do it.
I do some woodworking from time to time. My coffee table on which this computer is elevated. It was handmade by myself. So yeah, I think finding hobbies and finding passions, especially if you're not getting that from work, is essential to a happy life. I think podcasting or talking to strangers is one of my favorite
Yeah, they always told me not to talk
activities.
to strangers, and next
I
thing I
know
know, I'm podcasting with them. This is safer though because you can't kill me through my computer yet.
you don't know
Technology,
that.
technology has not gotten that far. I have not gotten the gene chip in the back of my head.
This whole time I've been hiring a hitman in Maryland, Ocean City, Maryland. What was it?
I'm not going to disclose
Ah, just kidding.
information.
No, I'm not going to kill you. I don't have that amount of. I don't have those contacts or that desire or drive
I don't have
um,
that type of effort. I
to
think
kill someone.
no. I mean, to hire a hitman, like if you're going to kill somebody, just do it.
I
Women do it best. They kill you slowly. They
They
like
do.
Like any psycho killer thing you watch on Netflix, it's like the guy just like, went over to his house and murdered his whole family. And you hear the woman's like, I was slowly poisoning his oat flakes in the morning with this type of pesticide that I researched extensively. I'm like, you go into freaking work on that one. You did some background knowledge and all that stuff. Guys just come up with the short term answer. Like, I'm just going to stab this guy.
I think women they've thought about that out. Poisoning them. Got to worry about that toxicology report. When you just kill someone, all you have to do is hide their body. What am I doing telling you all my secrets? Just kidding.
Well, Bill Burr said it best. He said, if you really wanted to kill somebody, you just have to take them out into the middle of the ocean and drop them off there because anything that goes down under the sea, you ain't going to find it.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't explored 90% of the ocean, so
I,
that's easy.
that's what brings up the whole myth of cryptozoology. Like Bigfoot and Nessie are still possible species out there. The only factor is there's 2.2 million species left undiscovered on land and 6.8 left undiscovered in the water.
2.2 million species left undiscovered.
Undiscovered. They discover 1,000 something every year.
How did they come up with that number? If they're
Now
undiscovered.
it's an estimate, but the whole factor is they do variants of species. Like if you have a cricket, that could be a green cricket, that could be a woodland cricket, that could be a water cricket. Those are all species that they're technically counting up. So that's why there's like hundreds of plant species that get discovered every year. I think the largest is actually plant and insect species.
Yeah, I'd imagine that.
But you hear that, I'm like, it does not bring out the realm of possibility that Bigfoot might be something out there, or the Yeti or something of that sort. It's hard to think that in different locations they all had the same concept of some type of species of giant ape. And that's where I mean, do I dive into that? No. Am I going to sell all my worldly possessions and go out into the middle of Yellowstone and do that? No. But I'm not attuned to people that do that. I try and understand it from their perspective. You know, Bobcat Goldthwait, he wrote that one movie and book on hunting for Bigfoot, and he's a big Bigfoot believer. He goes with a group of guys, and I think it's like they get funded $50,000 something dollars a year to be able to go hunt Bigfoot. I'm like, hey, if that's what you want to do, then go ahead and do it. It's not bothering me at all.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think one of the things that I used to have as a kid and growing up is I always was just like waiting. I always thought that there was like this one thing that my parents weren't telling me, like, like Hogwarts is real or something like that. And then I had to like reach a certain age and they'd tell me that. And I actually held on to that belief for a stupid long time. Like up until I was like 20. I
I
was
like
like, yeah, I'm just waiting for it.
once they told me Santa Claus wasn't real, I was
That's
like,
that's when the house of cards fell.
yeah, that's when my childhood started getting too exposed. And then not even like a couple of years later, you start seeing like your parents talk to you not like a kid anymore, like an adult. And then next thing you know, you're getting, sir, would you like paper or plastic? I'm like, sir, what? I'm only 21, man. It's like, yeah, but I'm looking at the kid and he's only like 15. I'm like, oh, this is just my life's changing. Bills are a thing. Quicksand's not important in my life anymore, like everything warned me about throughout my history. And it's welcome into the real world. Like I think a lot of nowadays, I think back, like I wish I was 12 years old. I didn't have a care in the world. I was eating a bag of Doritos in one sitting and drinking 2 liters of Mountain Dew like it was water. And nowadays, if I did that, my whole body would change.
Yeah, I was gonna say you can still do that. You just wouldn't like the effects of it.
Yeah,
But
dude. That's the first 2 weeks I went to the gym. I sweated nothing but spicy nacho Doritos, and I haven't eaten a Dorito since. That was 7 years ago.
yeah, it's a testament to our choices in life, right? I actually recently lost 20 pounds training for a 5K. Oddly enough, I was never an athlete or a runner.
You just
And
decided to run a 5K?
no, it was actually a pretty standard story. I got broken up with, and I was like, oh, I gotta, what can I do to make myself feel better? And I was like, I'll lose some weight. I'm not horribly overweight. I never have been, but I got a little extra. So I just started running, and I started, IF and keto. And in 2 months, I just shed 20 pounds like it was nothing, which
I
was awesome. I feel a lot
congrat
better.
Congratulations. I think a lot of times, like people get stuck in like a lot of they call it relationship weight or something. And they start gaining weight because they get comfortable with the person. And it's the sole aspect. Like a lot of people change once they get married. They stop doing certain things they used to do to make their looks good because they feel like they shouldn't have to, constantly live up to expectations of people. I tell people, I get that you wear makeup. I get you want to seem like you're beautiful, but you're also beautiful without it too. If someone's not going to like you for the one without the makeup, then why you're not going to wear makeup 24/7 in your everyday life? You tell me you marry the person when you're going to bed, you're wearing makeup. Well, when you wake up in the morning, that pillow is going to have all your makeup on it for you. So you got to be real. I think a lot of people I always chalk up to society. People wear masks nowadays. They'll say, "Hey, how you doing? How's your day going?" You'd be like, "Oh, it's going great. Yeah, thanks for asking." Then they turn around and go, "I fucking hate that guy. He's such a dick." And you're like, "What?" It's like they just start talking shit on you. You
Just
know,
real.
yeah, I've talked to Romanians that are like, "People here are fake." I'm like, "What do you mean people here are fake?" And they said that to me. Like, they're like, "You're real. When you ask me how my day is going, you truly care." I'm like, "Yeah, well, I'm Robbie. You gotta, nobody ever explains to me that I'm good or bad. They just say he's Robbie. I try and be as honest and as real as possible. Like my grandma listens to my podcast and goes, "You curse a lot." Yeah, a lot of language. I don't know. I didn't know this side of you. I was like, I curse in my everyday life, but I don't curse at grandma's house because it does not appropriate to drop fuck when I'm eating Aunt Jemima's pancakes. You know what I mean?
That's
It's
right.
it's something. It's me being real. Like I tell people, don't block out the realness. I don't edit my podcast. I don't do anything of this sort because you need a connection. I mean, you just told me about, I guess you would call yourself Gary Daniels from It's the whole concept of I learned a little bit about you, and I also got to have a cool ass conversation with someone that I wouldn't have had if I would have just sat and watched Netflix and sat play World of Warcraft or some shit.
Yeah, that was kind of me too, because I was just perusing Reddit today, and I saw that you were looking to interview people, and I was like, oh fuck it, I'll do it. I'm in. I'm in. I'm always in to talk to individuals, and yeah, it's kind of what it is. I think you have to have if you have to put effort into it, and like a lot of times I get at work at like 10 a.m. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna do this after work, and then like I get home from after work, I'm like, yeah, fuck that, I'm gonna watch Netflix, and it's like learning to defeat that voice and to set a plan and go do it is I think what's number one in being successful, not only in your career but in your life in general is saying what you're going to do and committing to it.
Yeah. I think the fact is I'll be at work right in the morning and I'll be like, when I get home, I'm going to clean up the house, I'm going to vacuum, I'm going to do all this stuff. And then as soon as I get home, first thing I'm going to do is just lie right in bed. And I'm like, I don't know if that's the mood or the tone or the energy that we set up in our own house that brings us to that point. But it's like as soon as we get up the door is when all the problems and everything of that hard ass day hits us. And we're just like, fuck it. It's just easier just to crawl in bed and do nothing.
Yeah, yeah. But that's why I find if I convince myself that I have a lot to do, and I don't have time to lay around, then I get it done. Like it's going to be very hard for me to convince myself to do stuff after this because I know for a fact that I just spent hours talking to strangers on the internet. So
Well,
uh,
hey, I mean, that's a pretty successful day if you take a look at it. You got to enrich yourself with some awesome conversation or dumb ass conversation, in my case, with just random things about what's going on in the world.
yeah, speaking of what's going on in the world, man, you follow this Jeffrey Epstein thing at all?
Oh my God, dude, I have too many people that are in political podcasts sending me things about that the night like it all went down before it was set into the news. And they were like, my source sent me this. I'm like, how do you consume yourself with that? That's some sketchy type of stuff.
Yeah, man. I mean, just like the facts around the case, I'm starting to think that he did kill himself, but for a while it just seemed all of the pieces were there for a perfect conspiracy storm, you know. But
I,
him signing the will 2 days before it happened,
maybe he knew he was going to be killed and then set up like
perhaps.
a suicide. I don't know. I think there's so many concepts and there's so many things you have to look into. I don't know if we're going to truly know unless someone comes out and says, "Hey, I killed them" or something. But it's the same thing. The JFK assassination. There's still 50 documents that Trump never released in 2017 that we don't know about. What the hell's on the 50 documents I can't read? We have a Freedom of Information Act, but nobody wants to give out the damn information.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot more, not necessarily sinister or, deep state type stuff, but I think there's a lot more that goes into the reasons why people do things. The leaders of the nations, then that's actually revealed to people.
It's all about
Um,
that paper, son.
yeah, I think it has a lot to do with about money, and I think it has a lot to do with power. And I think that the way that we've recorded historical events, right, and the reasons why they've happened, I don't think those are always 100% accurate. Um, I think that motives and motivations behind stuff, like why are we in Iraq right now, right? Oh, because they have weapons of mass destruction. Or do they? They don't.
No, we don't even know why we're still there now. We're just
That's what
there.
I'm
So it's
saying.
like, well, now we can't back out until we find whatever the hell we started here looking for. And I think we lost the whole concept of what we were actually there for.
Well, we went in and we took out Saddam Hussein. He was a dictator, yeah, but he kept that entire area of the world stabilized. He kept the terrorist organizations in line. And going over there now, we've created ISIS because there's whole generations that have now grown up under the U.S. just in their country and I don't know, just occupying their land. Right, and it's just kind of frustrating for them, and so now we've got more people trying to commit acts of terror, and it's
I think the sad thing is the reason why there's school shootings and people they're getting full and they're doing these types of things it's the whole factor of we're trying to change people and we can't even change ourselves. We're more easily able to go into another country and try and change them rather than look at the problems we have here. It's the same reason why if you talk about something like, oh, that happened, but you could be somebody in Africa, you do a comparison. Stop comparing places that are less fortunate. Stop doing all those types of things just because it's easy and it takes the tension off you and makes your life not suck. Your life does suck. Focus on the aspects of what does suck about it and make it better. It doesn't take that long or that hard of a process to do that. You're just setting yourself up for that failure to always be there. You're pushing away a problem that is never going to go away unless you really deal with it.
Yeah, make some changes. Tupac, right?
He's still alive.
Is Tupac lives? That's another conspiracy that may or may not be true.
His new album just came out. So if he's dead, I don't know how that makes sense.
His new album?
So like 2 years ago, an album came out with Tupac in it.
Oh, yeah. Late recordings or some shit like that. That's always cool.
The Lost Tapes.
Tupac. Yeah, I'm coming in St. Louis. There, we had Nelly in a hip hop culture. And it's just we need a new savior for the city. Thankfully, the St. Louis Blues came through for us. But I'm talking about music wise. This is a musical city. It's a derivative of New Orleans, pretty much. It's a French settled city, big on jazz, and it used to be huge. Chuck Berry, all these musicians.
311, bro.
From Omaha, Nebraska.
I know. It's my favorite band, man. That, Red Hot Chili Peppers, all these types of bands that actually, I guess I would call that music rather than what's today. I still think today's a form of it, but I think it's been too studioized and too programmed to the point where you don't even get to hear the actual artist invoke his emotions anymore. You just hear it just mumbles. And I'm like,
top 40 is all formalized. That Danny Cohn girl, the one that I was talking about, she put out a single called No Way. And the lyrics are, like I said, just, it seems like, I'll look them up. But they're just like repeated words and themes that she's clearly heard throughout her life. There's like one line that's like, my mom likes to spend more than your dad spends, so let's not pretend. Like, cool. What does it even mean?
Well, it brings up the whole concept that she's a gold digger.
Here's it is. Sky's the limit. We litty. I want it. I got it. I ain't timid about business. Who wit it? Though mama's so busy, I'm gone, taking off. And I'd be dripping.
I'm not of the old generation, but I barely understood that.
What the fuck? I know.
Exactly. That's all you can say. You read that. If you told that to your grandparents would be like, what?
So like, here's like, my team's better than yours. My girls are way licious. Check out the views. Your boyfriend's all in my DMs. Check out the proof. Oh, and then watching my move, brand new Transformer, missing the roof. So like missing the roof and like slamming people, like, oh, your man's hitting me up. Like this is all just repeated themes that she's repeating. Like she didn't come up with these ideas. I've seen missing the roof, right? In Transformer. I've heard that in many songs. This isn't a creative piece of art. This is a person that's never developed any sort of artistic talent whatsoever, trying to be a musician because she's got a large following behind her, and it's a cancer, and it is exactly what our society is setting up to produce, these kind of people.
I think we lead to the easiest road to success, and that easiest road to success is not one of success at all. It's a one of self-incrimination and one of freaking disgustingness. I always chalk it up, like you were saying before, that voice in our head that makes us kind of fall into like a comfort or lazy kind of form when we get home. It's something like, oh, it's too hard to try, like some type of mystical shit, because you hear that, and I'm telling you, man, that voice, you don't think it's going to happen, then as soon as you walk through the door, next thing you know, bam, it's so easy just to not do shit. I experienced it so much. I feel like I'm going to be super productive. Like today's my day. I got up 6 o'clock in the morning, day off. I'm going to go get groceries. Then after I eat and after I get ready to go kind of put my shoes on, I'm like, but I didn't take a shower. And then just immediately put on a comfort shirt. And the next thing I know, I'm in bed laying down watching Netflix the whole day.
That's right. What happens?
it's about creating a moving society, not one that just sits still and lets everything get done for us.
The path of least resistance, and then we create technology to solve even our most minuscule inconveniences too. So it's like, what you're right, we are going to be turning into a Wall-E society.
So I appreciate you being on the podcast, Gary Daniels.
Yes, sir.
But
That is my real name.
it was awesome having you, man. And I appreciate you doing the podcast. If you have anything, I don't know if you want to plug anything at the ending here.
I do not have nothing to plug.
Would you want to give any
except
words?
for my seeping anus. Just kidding. My anus is not seeping.
Would you want to give any words of wisdom to people out there?
Yeah, don't be like Danny Cohn. You can like her, but just develop, a sense of individuality and be yourself, right? That's what the 90s were about. It was about being a weirdo.
And
being
structure
different.
yourself around Jason Momoa.
I don't know who Jason Momoa is.
Are you serious?
Si, senor.
Aquaman?
Oh, I have not seen that.
The insanely ripped Hawaiian guy?
Yeah. Was he in anything else that I might recognize?
Frontier, Game of Thrones type stuff.
Oh, is he the Dothraki dude?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Well, I mean, if anything, don't pass up the gas station sushi, people. Because let me tell you, it'll make you sick, but it's some damn good stuff.
Gas station sushi,
dude.
No way.
7-Eleven tacos, all that stuff. I got sick off gas station sushi one time, and I told the guy I was going to keep buying it until he stopped selling it. It's like every time I walked in, I kept grabbing it. He's like, "Why? It made you sick." I was like, "You're doing this to me." And I just put the money on the table and walked out. And then he eventually took it off the shelves. Sometimes you got to make a standout like that. That's the whole thing.
I don't know. You just eat, I would never eat sushi from a gas station.
Yeah, sometimes you're hungry, and sometimes you see sushi, you're craving sushi. You don't want to go to a Chinese restaurant because you're afraid that they're going to get your order wrong, and then you're afraid when they get your order wrong, you don't want to say anything because they can give you that whole other language type routine, and then you feel underpowered, and then you feel like you just got yelled at in a different language, and then you have to leave.
Wow. Yeah, I suppose that would lead some people to eat gas station sushi. I would resort to a different option myself, but I don't to each their own. Be weird, be different.
It's about being yourself. Well, thanks for being on the podcast, Gary.
Thanks for having me, sir. It's a pleasure and an honor. You have a great evening.